So it being 6:30 p.m. on May 21st, 2025, I call this meeting of the Brockton Conservation Commission to order. This meeting is being conducted remotely in accordance with Governor Healy's open meeting provisions, extension signed on March 28th, 2025, which extends access to certain remote and hybrid meetings until June 30th, 2027. Real-time public participation and comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing the Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. If you wish to comment during a public input portion of a hearing, please use the raise your hand function to be addressed at the appropriate time. For those of you joining by phone only, please press star 9 to raise your hand. Please note that all comments made are public record and should be made in a way that is respectful of others. Should personal or inflammatory remarks be made, the host reserves the right to mute the speaker. A copy of this recording will be posted on the City of Brockton webpage. All votes will be done via roll call to ensure count accuracy. In order to establish quorum, I ask that each commissioner state your first and last name for the record. Peggy, you're muted.
Peggy Curtis here.
Lily Green
Sharifa
here.
Map. Oh, are you Lily?
Order.
Sharifa Map.
Justin Talbot.
And then Lily Green, I guess, is I go last these days. All right, thank you. Quorum has been established. Before beginning the agenda, I'd like to announce a continuance and a withdrawal. So, agenda item number 9, 940 Belmont Street in NOI, has been continued to the next meeting, which is June 18th, 2025. And then agenda item number 19, which is 360 Pearl Street, request for a certificate of completion, has been withdrawn by the applicant.
Madam Chair, just a quick little bit of detail on the withdrawal request about 360 Pearl Street. As you may recall, last month, James Victorine agreed to do some additional work there at the site, mainly consisting of installing a post and rail fence around the approved final limit of work. He was unable to get that done before the meeting tonight, so the intent is to withdraw the request, and then once he gets that contracted out and that work done, they will reapply.
Awesome. Thank you for the update on that. All right, on to the agenda. So, agenda item number 1 are the meeting minutes from April 16th, 2025. Commissioners, I assume that you have read the minutes from the meeting. Are there any questions or comments? Right. I entertain a motion then to accept the meeting minutes from April 16th, 2025.
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from April 16th, 2025.
I'll second that.
All right, motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, aye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
Green, aye. Motion has been passed.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember the wording. Thank you. All right, so the next item for Commission Matter is number 2, 34 Herman Street, the Phase 1 remediation outline.
Yeah, we've got the Commissioner of the Department of Public Works here from Brockton, so I'm going to promote Patrick Hill to be a panelist.
Awesome.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening, Mr. Hill.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. So the tentative plan, I'm at a point now where I have the opportunity, I guess, to complete this work. I'm hoping to do it sometime in June. I do not have a firm date, and I also, with the department that's going to be doing the remediation, I have an order in front of the City Council to ensure that I have enough money to pay for expenses that may be occurred. I don't suspect that order will be turned down. However, it does not go to council for another week and a half. So once that order gets approved, I will get a schedule to the commission, and we will proceed with the work, and I will work with Kyle to ensure that we meet all the necessary requests that come from the commission to ensure that we don't pollute the waterway.
Agent Holden, you have your hand up?
Commissioner Hill, just a question about what you got in front of the city council. Is that for the removal, or is that for the like the remediation portion that's kind of going to be done after the city goes in there and removes all the material and fill?
It's basically Kyle, for overtime purposes, and the renting of a machine, because I do not have a machine that could handle that site. So I will need to lease a machine. I had to move some money around. I had to move some money around into overtime. Unfortunately, due to the way that the regulations are with the city council, I cannot just move money into overtime. I had to shift some money from my budget and get council approval prior to that. So as soon as I have that approval from the council, and I can ensure that, but I don't want to go there any longer than I need to. So I may spend 3 or 4 days there. It may go into, 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. But once I get the ball moving, I'm hopeful I can get it done in 2 or 3 days. But I can't do that without having access to the overtime to ensure that I can keep that process going.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. So it's for the actual city's work that they're going to be doing to remove the fill in like the phase 1 of the project.
Correct.
Have you had a chance to read through the draft outline of like the requirements that the commission would like to have put in place to protect the waterway through the back of the brook back there?
I have them, and certainly before I do any of this work, I will touch base with you just to ensure I'm checking all the boxes.
Sure.
And I think it would be helpful if we did after everything is in place, I'll contact you. You can come out and just ensure that we've checked all the boxes and everything's in place so that we can get started.
Sure. Great. So I guess to the members of the commission that are on the call tonight, in the file folder for 34 Herman Street, there is a draft phase 1 remediation outline that kind of goes through all the different things that will be put in place to kind of protect the waterway in the parcel adjacent to 34 Herman Street that's owned by the city, 0 Jordan Street. That's been up there for a couple months. We can modify that, but what I would like to see from the commission tonight is just basically acceptance of that remediation plan, and that will be the plan that Pat and I kind of follow as we move forward with this the removal of all that fill and material on the site. Are there any questions from the commission concerning the draft version of the remediation outline?
Doesn't seem like it.
All right. I don't know that we actually need a vote to adopt this outline, but I do think that the commission should. We're kind of asking for special permission from the commission to allow the city to do this work. So I guess there could be a vote on that, just kind of approving this work from the city and allowing the DPW to go in there following this plan to get that fill and material removed from 34 Herman Street and 0 Jordan Street.
Okay, so then do I hear a motion from the commission to approve the work for 34 Herman Street?
I'll make a motion to approve the work needed to
second
repair 34 Herman Street.
I second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Matt, I.
Talbot, aye.
Green, aye. Motion has been passed. Thank you so much for the update, Mr. Hill.
Thank you.
And we've actually got you for the next one too, Commissioner Hill.
Okay. All right, so agenda item number 3 is 2 Silver Road.
So 2 Silver Road, the plantings. So the city will be in planting season. I guess we have a very short window to do the plantings. We've been in contact with the state, who is providing us with the plantings. those plantings should be done prior to the next Conservation Commission meeting. I'm happy to come back and with pictures to show, the work that was done. But I expect it to take place sometime the second, probably third week in June.
Agent Holden, do you have anything else to add
No,
to
I
that?
I guess a couple questions. So the reason that the trees were taken down to begin with is what they were kind of being undercut by the waterway, the brook that flows through there. How far back from the actual bank are we planning on planting the trees? So hopefully they don't get undermined and eroded out from underneath again. Do you have an idea, Pat, of what the offset's going to be?
I mean, I've walked the site several times. I want to get as close to the street level as I can, understanding that, um, that may not be ideal, but probably 10 to 12 feet off of the average height of the river on a daily basis. I don't think there's any level that you can get to that's going to prevent erosion when we get substantial rainfalls. The river overflows, into the street and floods the street. So, I'll get them as high up off the embankment as I can. Those original trees that were cut were, within probably 2 feet of the edge of the waterway. I'll be pushing them back probably 10 feet or more, but as close as to street level, I guess, as I possibly can.
Would you mind letting me know when that you're planning on getting those installed? I'd like to maybe just kind of be around and
Absolutely. Yeah.
just arm waving with you.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for the update, Commissioner Green.
Sorry, I broke up a bit.
Oh, I was just throwing it back over to you. There's no action necessary from the commission. This is more, we had spoken about this, several
Yep.
months ago, and this was just kind of a follow-up to make sure that we were on the same page about what was going to go in. So, Commissioner Hill, how many trees will be planted in replacement here?
I was planning on doing 2. I mean, the area it could probably, I don't want to overwhelm the area with any substantial size trees and prevent growth. So it's likely going to be 2 trees, probably scattered maybe 10 feet apart. But as the trees grow, the canopies grow. I don't want to, I guess, try to crunch two significant sized trees into a small area.
Okay. And just for the commission's information, I believe at least 3 trees were removed from the bank right in that area. So assuming the commission's fine with the 2 larger trees spaced apart, that's what we're kind of trying to get tonight is the input and approval of the commission for what's being planned.
I mean, if the commission would like me to put in smaller trees, I could certainly look through the species list and try to select something that may not grow as large. But I mean, I'll leave that to you guys. I'm happy to put back 3 trees.
Commissioner Curtis, you have your hand up?
Yes, that was exactly my question. If he could put in trees that were native to New England and smaller than those the big trees that caused the problem.
Yeah, I mean, native to New England is a pretty broad brush, I guess. I will try to get the smallest species that I can. Certainly we want to kind of restore it somewhat back to what it was when the trees are fully grown, but I don't necessarily, the trees that are being given to us from DCR are all native trees to New England, and I will tell you that there is probably close to 100 different species. So I will research and try to find something that will thrive in an area like that, and maybe not necessarily grow as large as those other trees did.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hill, do you know what the 2 trees that they were planning to give you were?
I believe those were what we call like a swamp oak tree. It's a oak tree that kind of thrives in a wet area. Um, swamp oak, I don't think is the official title to it, but that's kind of how we refer to them in the field. Um, they're they're larger trees, um, probably 30, 40 foot larger trees. I don't think that would be appropriate to plant back in there. Certainly there are other options, but I do believe that those were oak trees.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions? Agent Holden, just good to.
Yeah, I don't think there's any
Yes.
vote or anything. This is just kind of a make sure we're all on the same page before any work's done out there. So
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Commissioner Hill.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners.
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay. On to new filings of the agenda. So our first new filing is agenda item number 4. It's a notice of intent for 484 Pleasant Street, a 4-unit residential construction. So notice of intent, DP file number and a butter notification, Kyle?
actually, DP definitely did did issue a file number, and they also issued technical comments. We just promoted Scott Faria. Scott, I don't know that I've received proof of mailing actually from you. Do you have that?
I do. I don't know if I can give it to you right now. I can send it to you right after the meeting. In 5 minutes I can if you'd like. But
Uh,
I do have them. I have the receipts. I thought Deb had sent them to you like we
Yeah,
typically do.
I think technically we're not supposed to open the hearing without that.
Right.
So could we potentially take this out of order, Scott, while you find those and get those sent over to me, and then we'll take you after the next filing.
I'll email you right now. That sounds fine, Kyle. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott.
All right, so not officially open, so we'll move on and come back to that. So then, filing number 5, a request for an extension for 455 Oak Street.
And I am promoting Tim Power. He has been working with the Fuller Craft Museum for their the notice of intent, which was initially for some tree removal, some parking lot improvements, and some stormwater drainage improvements.
Good evening, Mr. Power.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good, thanks. So quick overview, as Kyle said, original notice of intent. All of the work was completed and the site is stabilized right now, but because of a water main leak, we had some issues with our infiltration basin becoming a little overrun with sediment and debris. So we need to clean that out still. The challenge and the reason for the request is the museum itself needs to establish get some funding to do that work. They have a bigger project going on that should lead to funding. At least their hope is. We're hopeful to secure all that and do the remaining work we need to do in the fall to sort of redo that rain garden and get it set. So to that end, we're just asking for a 2-year extension. I think it goes all the way up to 3 by the regulation, but we think 2 is enough to get everything reestablished and set. So that's what we're requesting tonight.
Agent Holden, anything else to add?
No, well, I guess I've got maybe a question for Tim. So I believe the order required some monitoring. So would the 2-year time frame that you're requesting allow time for securing of that funding to do the proposed work, and then also include time for the monitoring, or would that just I think it may be a 2-year monitoring period. I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to look that up now. Do you think it would be better to If you don't have the funding yet, maybe we should just go for a 3-year extension request.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I do remember that comment that you made, now that you mentioned it, about reporting. So if we're going to do some new planting with what we're going to do, then we obviously need a little more time there. So I think a 3-year is probably appropriate. Like I said, they're hoping to secure funding and do it in the fall, so that gives us a good 2 years of plant time,
Yeah,
basically.
and if things get wrapped up before then, we can always do a request before that 3-year period. But I think that would at least cover us for that monitoring as well.
Okay, that sounds great.
So, Madam Chair, my recommendation would be to issue a 3-year extension for this order of conditions.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions? Okay. So it's just, oh,
I'm sorry,
yes,
actually, I have a
Mr. Mapp.
question for Kyle. Am I going to abstain from this?
You probably ought to, as an employee of the museum.
Okay, thanks.
All right, then, commissioners, if there are no other questions, I entertain a motion to grant the 3-year extension for 455 Oak Street.
Make a motion to grant a 3-year extension for 455 Oak Street.
I second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Talbot,
Map
aye.
abstain.
Talbot, aye.
And Green, aye. So that passes because we still have 3.
Yeah, majority vote. That's correct.
Awesome.
Great, thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Power.
Madam Chair, I have yet to receive that email from, and it just came through just now. So we have the certified mailing list. So I think we're okay to open the public hearing for 484 Pleasant Street.
All right, back to agenda item number 4. Mr. Ferrier?
Thank you for putting the pressure on me, Kyle, to perform under pressure.
Got to keep you honest, Scott.
Always my favorite part of these Zoom meetings. So good evening, Madam Chair, Commission members, Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering. And I have for you tonight a brand new project. If I could share my screen, Kyle.
Yeah, you should be able to. If you are unable, let me know and I'll fiddle on my end.
All right. I'm hoping you can see that, but I'm guessing you can't. Oh, right there. Yeah. Hold on. Right there. Okay. Perfect. All right. So we have a project for you at 484 Pleasant Street, which is across from Fields Ave, just east from Westgate Mall. And the existing site is about 1.5 acres. There's a existing 6-unit residential building. It's a big yellow building. Previously, it was an office in the front with a big barn. Going back, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the office in the barn was converted to a residential use, and now there's six apartments within this existing building, with an existing parking lot behind the building. I represent David and Laurie Rezovitz, and Attorney Rezovitz is hoping to add an additional 4-unit building to the rear of the property. We were before the Board of Appeals about 6 months ago, received Board of Appeals approval to construct this 4-unit building. We're before you folks because we fall in within 2 resource areas. We fall within the 100-foot buffer zone to the Salisbury Brook, which is our property line to the rear. And we also have a portion of the property falls within the 100-year FEMA flood zone. So because of those 2 items, we're before you folks. Now, just to get into a quick discussion, the project we're assuming will be sent out for peer review, and we'll certainly be back before you in the near future after we get a chance to review those comments. But just to give you a quick rundown, again, it's a 4-unit residential building, and we'll be expanding the existing parking area to provide adequate parking for additional parking for the existing 6 units and new parking for the 4 units. As you can see, as I said, the flood zone kind of cuts right through the middle of the proposed parking lot. it's not really a concern for us on this project at all, as we're keeping the grade right at existing grade. So we're not introducing any fill to the site. So therefore, we're not losing any flood capacity. And we have those calculations that we submitted as part of the project. And in fact, because of the introduction of our infiltration basin to the rear of the property, we're actually creating a little bit more flood storage on the site than currently exists. So with those items, the drainage system proposed meets all of the stormwater management requirements. We have a limit of work proposed that starts at the existing deck and kind of wraps around the proposed project, and then back up the lot line to the 100-foot buffer zone. So we certainly feel like the project won't have an adverse impact in any of the interests in the act or that the commission would typically be on the lookout for. So having said that, we know the project needs to get sent out for peer review, and we're just looking forward to getting that part of the project started, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Fire. Agent Holden, any additional comments?
Yeah, I've got a couple comments and questions. Scott, the infiltration basin there at the southern portion of the site, is that just collecting water coming off of the parking lot?
Yes, that's correct. Coming off of the parking lot, there's a level spreader at the end of the parking lot, and then a swale will introduce it into the basin. Then there's an outlet control structure that will hold the water and during certain storm events allow it to release out to the wetland area and eventually to the Salisbury Brook. So it's essentially entirely for the parking lot.
Is there any, well, I didn't see on the plan, but there's no proposed rooftop infiltration for the new structure?
No, we do not have any. Again, with the size of the basin is essentially over-designed for the parking area. So we just have downspouts that would overland flow into the parking lot and then go down the level spreader and into the infiltration basin. So it indirectly gets into the basin anyways.
Okay, thank you. On the basin, to the looks like to the east side, you've got, is that just kind of a hump, a mound that is the extent of the basin there? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's correct. Right over in this area, just
Yeah.
to create the basin, we just have a little bit of a berm buildup. The rest of the basin, the other sides of the basin has a natural berm already that kind of abuts the river. So that natural berm acts as the two sides of the basin. So we need to create that berm on the east side, as you mentioned, on the right-hand side.
All right, and then I've just got a couple comments. Thank you, Scott. Those are all my questions. I just want to note for the commission that the new proposed building is completely is proposed to be completely outside of our jurisdictional areas. So it's not within the floodplain, and it's also not within the 100-foot buffer to the bank of the Salisbury Brook. So the only things that are going to be part, that will be impacting resource areas and buffer zones are the parking lot extension and then that infiltration basin. And then secondly, it is noteworthy that, the commission does have a 25-foot no-touch policy as far as the buffer zones go. That 25-foot no-touch, in this case, perfectly overlaps with the 25-foot riverfront area down at the bottom. And I think that the impacts are proposed within that 25-foot riverfront and within that 25-foot no-touch, up to about 15 feet from the bank, it looks like on the plan. Now, all that said, I know that the technical comments from Mass DEP are concerning that impact to the riverfront area. And I'm sure, Scott, that those comments will be worked out in the peer review process. But that's just something that the commission should be aware of.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Agent Holden. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
No comments from me.
So it seems like the next step would be to make the motion to send it to third-party review.
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
I'm sorry, I have one question. Where would the snow be put in this new parking lot? Scott?
Fair question. There's plenty of room. We could certainly designate a snow removal area right off the back deck. There's plenty of room there outside of the tree line. It would just barely fall within the 100-foot buffer zone, but that would be about the furthest place we could get it from your resource area. So I would say right up in this area here.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so then, commissioners, I entertain a motion to send, what's this, 484 Pleasant Street for a third-party review, or I guess choose who to have the third-party review done by.
I can make that motion to, are we, uh, are we granting the notice of intent? Or are we,
So we would
Sending
just
it-
be referring this project out for peer review.
okay, so I make a motion to, refer 484 Pleasant Street for peer review.
Second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Matt, I.
Talbot, I.
Green eye. Motion passes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Farrier.
Thank you, folks. We'll see you soon. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Scott. And
Thank
then, Madam Chair, we should continue this
Oh,
item.
right. Forgot about that. Right. I also entertain a motion to continue 484 Pleasant Street to the next meeting, the June 18th meeting. Forgot about that.
I'll make a motion to refer
Oh,
484.
sorry, Mr. Farrier has his hand up.
Just if I may, I mean, realistically, just in the timeline, by the time we get the comments, the quotes back from the 3 companies, we send you the check. I think after that, they have 30 days to give us the review. We're certainly not going to be ready in June. So instead of piling another thing on your agenda, why don't we just shoot for the July meeting, if that's okay?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Scott, I will get this proposal or request for proposals out this week. So just FYI.
Sure. Good, thank you. I think July would be fine, Madam Chair.
So, commissioners, if you're okay with that, that would be the July 16th meeting? Third Wednesday?
Yeah, the
Different than
third.
holidays?
Mm-hmm. All right, so I make a motion to, I forgot what I was gonna
To
say.
continue
To
this-
continue 484 Pleasant Street to the July 16th meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Matt, I.
Talbot, I.
Green eye. Motion has been passed.
Thank you, folks. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Good
Scott.
night, Mr. Fire.
Good night.
So our next filing, we did 5. Okay, we're on to agenda item number 6 now, which is the request for determination of applicability for 125 Oak Street.
Madam Chair, I see a few people from, or at least one person from Wildlands Trust. Zoe, is there anyone else on the call tonight with you?
We have Rebecca Cochet.
Okay, I'll promote Rebecca as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I think I pronounced your name, Zoe.
All
And
right. Yeah.
discussing.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm Zoe Smrowski from Wildlands Trust, and we are partnered with Manomet Conservation Sciences to build outdoor classrooms in Brockton. We've previously built 2 now, so this is our 3rd year and our 3rd school at the Raymond Elementary School, which is at 125 Oak Street. And the project that we're looking to have completed is constructing, or well, installing a outdoor classroom area on an area that is adjacent to the school building. So we want to clear, there's an existing stone bridge over a stream that runs through the property that has some deadfall of trees that have fallen down. So we want to clear those down trees and move the debris into the woods out of the way so that it is accessible. And then there is about 0.1 miles of trail that we want to kind of remow and brush back with some loppers and hand tools to go out to a previously open field area that has since grown in over the past 20 years or so. And our plan is to kind of clear out some of the underbrush and do some mowing of that area that is still fairly open in the understory, and just kind of moving some of the fallen sticks and installing some non-permanent structures of some benches and seating. And then as far as permanent structures, semi-permanent structures go, we want to put in some 4x4 posts with a learning board that may have whiteboard paper on it or something of the sort, and then 5 interpretive signs along that 0.1 mile trail that will just be dug in. Those will be 4x4 PT posts, pressure treated posts, and then we'll have signs on top of them. And so, yeah, that is what we're proposing.
I forgot to confirm DP number and a butter notification.
So neither is required for an RDA filing. So an RDA filing is a public hearing, and it does require legal notice, but not a butter notification. And DEP will not issue a file number for an RDA.
And my notes for that were wrong. My fault.
Oh, my apologies. I may have misspoken when we spoke earlier this week, Madam Chair.
Okay. Ms. Mowski, do you have any site plans you want to show us, I guess?
Yeah, sure. Let's see, share. So, oh man, my screen. So we have the site locus here. So this is the parcel with the school on it, and the trail will go through on this section. So it's actually still on 125 Oak Street with the stream running through. So this is the proposed trail area in red here. The pink represent the interpretive signage with the 4x4 posts. And then in the center of this 0.1 mile trail, there is a proposed seating area. As mentioned, this area used to be a field, and so it's still pretty open in the understory. So we'd just be looking to kind of brush mow that area in the center so we could put some seating for classroom space. And then here's a kind of closer photo or map. Yeah.
Agent Holden, do you have any additional comments or questions?
No questions. I went out and visited the site with Zoe a month or so ago. And as she said, there's an existing bridge. I've got some photos I might be able to share with the commission. There's an existing stone bridge there that is almost impassable currently. It's certainly not safely passable for students and so forth now. That's just kind of overgrown with the deadfall, as Zoe had mentioned. I went back and looked through some historical aerial photography of the school, and basically that entire like kind of oblong trapezoid shape used to be open field, and over the last 25 years or so, since about 2000, that's slowly kind of grown in. When the commission's looking at this filing, there are no wetlands up in this portion of the site. You can see that there is a wetland farther south near to Oak Street on Mass Mapper there. But what we're looking at here as far as resource areas that are impacted by this proposal are basically buffer to bank and riverfront area. So buffer to bank, when you're dealing with just work within the buffer zone, one exempt activity within the buffer zone is installing a public trail up to 3 feet wide. So I don't think there's any problem with the well, A, with clearing the brush off of the existing bridge, nor with the establishment of a trail through here. The learning circle will be again only within the buffer zone to the bank. My one real comment, and I've not spoken to Zoe about this yet, but the riverfront area is a little bit more. That is itself a protected resource area, rather than the buffer zone, which is a buffer zone.
Mhm.
So I was curious, Zoe, would you be opposed to right now the kind of proposed trail? You take an immediate left off of the bridge and you kind of follow the bank. Would you be amenable to the idea of kind of taking that trail and moving in so you're basically straight into the field and then cutting south, so you would the idea would be to stay outside of that 25-foot riverfront area to the bank. So basically just try to get out of that 25 feet as quickly as possible and then go south instead of following the bank.
Yeah, that's definitely something we would be amenable to. I think the reason why the trail was in that section is we were following a previous trail that was already there. So we'd be happy to move it. We were just kind of looking at what would be the most straightforward way of following what infrastructure already existed, in some sense. So, but yeah.
Yeah. And then just a clarifying point, no work is proposed here with any, heavy machinery. This will all be hand tools,
Yep.
chainsaws and the like.
Hmm.
So just for the commission's information, my recommendation, given that the applicant is amenable to the idea of moving everything outside of the riverfront area to the maximum extent practicable, that the commission could find that all of the proposed work, again, and this is just very minor vegetative clearing and minor excavation for these signposts. The commission could find that these impacts would be de minimis or have a negligible impact on the protected resource areas, and the commission could issue, should they choose to, a -3 determination. And in that determination, that basically states that the work is subject to jurisdiction, but will not have a negative impact on those resource areas. And then we could include a couple of conditions. And I have two recommended conditions that are in my report. The first is that the commission is not approving any of the wetland lines. There's not really a delineation here. We're really just working off like the assessor's map and Mass Mapper. So we're not confirming any wetland or river bank delineations with this determination. And then finally, the second one is that the trail, the path leading from the existing bridge to the outdoor learning space shall be relocated outside of the 25-foot riverfront area to the maximum extent practicable.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Do you want to see those photos that Agent Holden mentioned?
If we could quickly see the photos, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. Zoe, I'm gonna share. I'm gonna replace your screen. Okay. All right. So you wouldn't really know it, but we're looking like down the bridge. So the bridge is kind of back in the center of the photo behind all of this low-hanging brush and there's a tree that's dead that's back there. So we're just gonna go through these photos pretty quickly. This is the main culprit of the obstruction on the bridge. You can see that this is a nice stone bridge here. So this tree is the main culprit of all the deadfall. Zoe, you're not planning on removing the tree. You're just going to take the downed and limbs that have fallen and created an obstruction, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we're just planning on removing the limbs that are directly impacting the bridge, and then anything that were to fall in the waterway, remove that and make sure it's in the woods.
Yeah, and I guess that's one other thing that I didn't include, but we could just include language in the determination requiring that all of this material be relocated like outside of the 50-foot buffer zone, so it's not next to the waterway. So this is the other side of the bridge, and this branch here is not growing up from below. This is actually fallen over as well. So most of this is just limbs and wooded vegetation. There is some, obviously some understory like brush that's here that will be cleaned up as part of this as well. But these are just kind of shots of the bridge area, and this is look, this is the like the water is conveyed under the bridge right through here. So this is the waterway, Searles Brook, and just another shot of the bridge again. So there's one, the right side is right here, and then the left side is right here. So it's not quite accessible for the students at this point, but I think this is a good project, and I'm happy to work with Wildlands to get this through. Any questions about or any questions about the photos? Can I stop sharing?
I have a quick question.
Hmm?
Is the bridge still in good condition?
Yeah, the bridge is in great condition from what we can observe. Pretty sturdy. I don't know how old it is, but yeah, it seemed to be in really good condition. That I feel like those pictures made it look a lot worse, but it's really just the trees that have fallen, the branches that have fallen in there make it look pretty bad. But without all the vegetation too, like over the winter, it's in pretty good shape.
Thank you.
I have a question. Zoe, is this, when you guys do the work, you guys hire people to do this, correct? It's not volunteered work, right?
So we do the work. So yeah, we do have some of the work will be done with Green Team, which is a program that Manomet and Wildlands runs, where we bring in high school students who are paid to work with us, and all of it's supervised by our staff. But typically, yeah, all done by us. So we're the ones on site.
I would be just throwing out there willing to donate a full day of work of labor for you guys if you need any help.
Yeah,
Right up
absolutely.
my
We would love
alley.
that.
Okay.
Cool.
Commissioners, any other questions or concerns or comments? All right, to note, I will be abstaining because I work for Manomet Conservation Sciences. I will not be volunteering my time because I will be working with Green Team. So, but on that note, so just to confirm,
Madam
Kyle,
Chair, I'm
yes.
sorry, we have a participant from the
Oh, okay.
public that has a hand raised. Lisa Crowley, I think your hand's down now. I'm going to go ahead and promote you to panelist just in case you still want to speak. But yeah, this is a public hearing, and we ought to give the public a chance to weigh in before we make a determination and close the hearing.
Yes, thank you for the reminder. Good morning, Miss Crowley. Oh, afternoon, evening. Miss Crowley, you're muted if you want to speak about this filing.
There it is. Sorry, I kept muting it on my on my own computer.
No problem.
Anyway, my name is Lisa Crowley, and I live across town at 250 Howard Street. And I am totally, completely in favor of the Wildlands Trust and what they're doing over at the Raymond School. And yes, if you need volunteers, put a call out. I would love to go out and help. Thank you, and that's all I have to say.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely put out for a volunteer day. So pretty excited about this project. Thank you.
Agent Holden, are there any other participants that would like to speak to this filing?
I do not see any other hands raised, Madam Chair.
Okay, awesome. Just to confirm for commissioners, you would be entertaining a motion to issue a -3 determination with that language that Kyle mentioned and those special recommendations about the not conforming of the wetland lines, that the path be relocated so it's outside the 25-foot riverfront area as much as possible, and also requiring any removed material to be located outside the buffer zone. 50.
Yeah, we're gonna say maybe the 50-foot buffer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, commissioners, so I entertain the motion to issue the -3 determination with all of that language.
Well, I'm going to make it very short.
Oh, Commissioner Curtis, you've muted yourself in the middle of that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I am going to make that a little compact. I'm going to recommend a -3 determination for 125 Oak Street outdoor classroom with the special conditions outlined by Kyle.
Second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Map I.
Albert,
I abstain, but motion passes with majority. And then we have to close this one, right? So also entertain motion to close.
Yeah, I mean, we
Oh.
can. We often don't officially close ones when we issue the determination or a notice or an order of conditions, but we can also close the public hearing. That's fine.
I'll make a motion to close 125 Oak Street, request for determination of applicability.
I second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Map I.
Albert,
I abstain. Motion passes though with majority vote. Thank you so much.
Just a
Oh,
point of
wait, what? Yep.
clarification, Madam Chair.
No.
I think this is fine, but I think in the future we should close the public hearing and then issue the decision.
Oh,
So that's the order that we'll do
Opposite way.
this next time.
my fault. I
No,
had
no,
that
it's
reversed.
fine.
Well, thank you, everyone. Hope you have a good night.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. All right. Yes, the next one, right? So agenda item number 7.
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Yes, okay, I was making sure I forgot which one was withdrawn. Okay, so agenda item number 7, the request for a certificate of compliance for 710 Oak Street car wash development.
Madam Chair, I don't recognize any names in the attendees list that are here to speak to this. If anyone is here to speak to the 710 Oak Street car wash certificate of compliance request, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I'd be happy to review the request with the commission. I do not see any hands raised, Madam Chair.
All right, then Agent Holden, if you would like to give the update.
Sure. So a couple months ago, must have been the March meeting, this same property came to the commission for a request. That request was denied for a handful of reasons. And the two outstanding comments that have been partially addressed or addressed at this point were that, one, we were waiting for the limit of work markers to be installed. And then two, we wanted the site to be sufficiently stabilized with permanent vegetative cover. So those were the two kind of outstanding comments. And at this point, I've been out to the site as part of the review for this request for certificate of compliance, and I've got some photos to share with the commission. If you don't mind, I will share my screen now.
Go ahead, Agent Holden. Agent Holden, you're muted.
Yep, I'm muted. So all these photos were taken on the 14th of May. This field that we're looking at now,
Agent Holden, I do not see any photos on the screen.
I've got to actually share my screen. Let's try this. All right, can you see this?
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you. So when the initial request came through in March of this year, this field here was basically an open like mud flat almost. So they did see this. This is coming in pretty good through here. And we're just going to kind of go through some of the photos. I will say before we move forward that all of the conservation markers have been installed along the approved limit of work as requested by the commission. So we'll get to those in a moment, but those are in place. So really what I'd like from the commission now is to assess whether we think that this is the vegetation cover here is substantial enough to warrant the issuance of that certificate of compliance, or if the commission would like to see additional seeding and germination. So this is this field here that you're looking at now is to the south of the car wash, just by the Walmart parking lot. Another shot, obviously the grass is coming in. It's a little patchy, but that will fill in over time. This area that you're looking at now is the constructed stormwater infiltration basin to the north end of the site. And you can see this is much more sparsely vegetated. However, near the bottom of the photo, you can see that there is like dead vegetation from growth from last year. And it may just be a matter of time until all this area kind of fills in this summer. It has been vegetated in the past. It's not entirely green as of last week. But the next several photos are of this infiltration basin. And this basin is probably the least vegetated area on site. So this area at the top of the berm of the infiltration unit was seeded either last fall or this spring. That looks great. The question is the actual basin itself. Do we want to see some more growth there? So this is another shot of the basin looking towards the entry drive from Oak Street into the Walmart parking lot and the car wash. So all of this through here is the infiltration basin. Moving on, we're going to look at the conservation markers. This is the signage that they installed on some metal posts here. This is the back end of the sign for me. And then you can see here they've got them approximately every 25 feet along the limit of work. And this is the wetland resource area is kind of back behind these stones. Just another shot of that, and then there you can see several more of these signs along the berm that was part of the additional stormwater management of the field to the south of the car wash. At this point, the commission, we need to either options are to issue the certificate of compliance, certifying that the project was done to the rest of the standards and the plan that was proposed. I didn't go over this in like just now, but in the previous report that I gave to the commission in the March meeting, I did review the rest of the site for compliance with just the way that it was designed. All the catch basins were where they were supposed to be. The site in general was constructed according to the plan. So these were just the outstanding items that we still need to kind of address. So I think the markers are in place, and so the real question is, does the commission is it comfortable with the amount of permanent stabilization with the vegetative growth, or does the commission want to see additional seeding and germination?
Open up to the commission to discuss.
I have a question. On that picture that you had up, that berm, was that a man-made berm or was that from the digging out for the drainage, storm drainage?
Yeah, no, that berm was man-made. It was part of the plan set that was reviewed by Beta. So that berm was kind of installed when they did some regrading of that field between Walmart and the car wash. And that was kind of where the extra material ended up along that berm. That berm is within buffer zone, but it's not near the wetland is like 40 or so feet away from where that berm was installed.
Also, too, do you know what kind of seed mix they used to seed that? Because I know that a lot of these companies will come in and seed it, hydro seed it, so it looks great the first year. But the second year, most of that doesn't come back up. It just it looks perfect the first year though. So I think I would like to see more vegetation, more grass.
Okay, I do not know the seed mix that was used.
Commissioner Talbot?
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. I actually agree with Peggy. I think they went this far. I think at that pit, they should just either rethatch it, put some more seed down. The weather we're in now, it'll grow in 6-8 weeks, and then come back to us and reapply, whatever they have to do. But I agree with Peggy.
Thank you, Commissioner Talbot. Commissioner Mapp?
I'll gonna agree with the Peggy and Justin. So can we just move it to next month? Or
Yeah,
do we wait till
a couple
July?
options. We can. I don't want to continue for several months, but
Right.
we can certainly continue until the next meeting in June. And I can reach out to the applicant, tomorrow, let them know about the commission's decision. And if they get on it and get this, seeded in the next week or so, there may very well be, a growth, substantial growth by the next meeting. And at that point, we could then issue the certificate. So if that is the decision of the commission, I would recommend that we just continue this until the next month's meeting in June.
Kyle, excuse me, Madam Chair, that also includes the installation of the conservation markers, right? Approved. We want that done as well.
No,
Those would,
that was done.
That was done. Those were those nice signs, right? We
Yeah.
saw.
Uh-huh.
All right,
yes,
understood.
with
Sorry
the
about
green and
that.
white signs. All right, so then it sounds like, commissioners, you can entertain a motion to continue this to the June 18th meeting with the expectation that they will hopefully seed it and it'll be done. Otherwise, I guess in the June meeting, we'll make the decision on if it gets issued or not.
Okay, I make a motion for, to continue to the June meeting, 710 Oak Street, car wash development, in order for, more seed to be put down and show more growth.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Map I.
Galvin, aye.
Green eye. Motion passes. And we can move on to the next one. All right. So we enter our current filings. We'll go one by one to, I guess, vote on continuances for most of these, Agent Holden.
Yes, that's correct. Most of these, the current filings are out in various stages of peer review. We only received one continuance request this month, which was number 940 Belmont
Yep.
Street. So I just recommend that we go through each of these. I'll check to see if there's anyone in the attendees list that wishes to speak about any of these. And then if not, we would then just continue each of these individually to the June meeting.
All right, awesome. So filing number 8, notice of intent for 82 Ames Street, a parking lot construction and riverfront restoration. If anyone wants to speak to that, please raise your hand.
Pardon, Madam Chair, I believe I froze, but I do not see any. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think I had an unstable internet connection. I do not see anyone with their hand raised to speak to the commission about 82 Ames Street, Madam Chair.
All right. Then, commissioners, I entertain a motion to continue 82 Ames Street to the June 18th meeting.
I'll entertain a motion to continue 82 Ames Street to the June 19th meeting. Is it the 19th?
18th?
18th.
18th, June 18th meeting.
I second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Map I.
Green eye. Motion has been passed. All right. Next filing, number 9, notice of intent. Oh, wait, that's the one we already mentioned was continued. Sorry. Number 10, notice of intent, 549 Copeland Street, the subdivision roadway construction. If anyone would like to speak to that, please raise your hand in the attendees list.
I do not see any hands raised, Madam Chair.
All right, then commissioners, a motion to continue.
I'll make a motion to continue to the June meeting, 549 Copeland Street.
Second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Map I.
Galvin, aye.
Green eye. Motion passes. All right. Agenda item number 11, notice of intent for 30 Interville Street, a 28-unit residential building conversion, which I believe.
Yeah, there are several
we-
people in the attendees, Madam Chair, that wish to speak to this item. Let me promote them to panelists. All right, I've promoted 2 attendees at this point, Madam Chair. And then Ed, I guess if you wish to speak, raise your hand and I'll promote you as well.
Hi, Samantha Cripps, PMP Consulting. I also have Michael Peralt, our design engineer for the project, online. We do have a couple other people online, but I don't know if they necessarily need to speak. If it's okay with the commission, I'll have Mike give a little update on the project.
Good evening, and that is all right with me to please update us.
Good evening. My name is Michael Peralt, and I'm the senior civil engineer at PMP Consulting. The last time we had a peer review letter come in, we've prepared the response to the peer review. We've submitted it. Agent Holden did get it back to them for re-review. The majority of the comments have been addressed. There are a few outstanding comments that basically requires a conversation between your agent and the commissioners to resolve a few outstanding housekeeping items. There's a resolution on a fee amount and a couple of items on plantings that the commission may wish to have in that area. This site is a 100% impervious site. It was developed over 70 years ago. There is an old building that's to be raised on this site. It had received an order of conditions from the commission for the removal of that building and a new building to be placed, but that order lapsed and the property has been resold. So that's why we're here before the commission, is to prepare another site that's going to have a building onto it and open up some of that impervious areas to vegetated areas. A lot of the questions had to deal with low impact development. We're doing the best we can on this site. It's adjacent to a culvertized brook. There's no way to run a pipe out to the brook at all. The brook is lined with large boulders, and even if we had an under drain pipe, it would be inundated by the ponding of the water going into the culvert. So we've done the best we can onto this site, and we're just requesting that the commission can, and Sammy has shared the screen on this, as you can see. There's not much on this piece of property that is not paved. And then if you put up the proposed plan, and how about the color one there, Sammy? There we go. As you can see, we are doing some green from all paved. So we're asking the commission to work with their agent to resolve any questions on the fee and also to resolve any of the outstanding decision items as for the plantings that you would like to see into that area that's adjacent to the culvertized section of the brook. And there may be a few other odd things that the commission needs to decide on. But we anticipate that we've addressed the comments to the satisfaction of the peer reviewer. The peer review was basically looking to see if there were any type of alternatives for in-ground disposal of stormwater. And based on the soil, majority of the soil out there is fill, several feet thick, up to about 8 feet thick. And it would not be suitable to try to dig that out. You never know what you're going to find in filled land in the city of Brockton, and replace it with sand, and not knowing that the brook right next to it would probably just inundate it with water anyway. So the options for any further type of reworking for low impact development on this site have basically been exhausted.
Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Agent Honan, any additional questions, comments, or items, comments? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. And as Michael had mentioned, there are several comments that have been deferred to the commission from the peer reviewer. So I was hoping tonight that the commission could go through those comments and come to a decision on each of them. That way, the peer reviewer and the applicant both know what is expected, so they can get this notice of intent wrapped up and get that order of conditions issued. Hopefully next month. But again, that kind of depends upon the peer review. So if that's all right, Madam Chair, we can just dive right in and begin addressing the comments.
Commissioners, is that all right with you? All right, Agent Honan, I think we're good
Sure.
to go through the comments.
Yeah, so the first comment that was deferred to the commission was comment number 7. Basically, this is about whether or not the commission wishes to require that the applicant submit the wetland delineation like data forms, so that's on file. I did send, just so the applicant and everyone associated with this project is aware, I did send all this out to the commission a few days ago. So hopefully they've had a chance to read through each of these comments. That we won't have to dig into each of them right now, but that's ultimately what comment number 7 is asking of the commission, if the commission wishes to require those forms be submitted.
Commissioners, any opinions on that comment of if you want those forms submitted or not?
Are they ready to go? Is that what the issue is?
Would they be easy to send?
So I'll read through the comments then, I guess. Wetland comment. Comment number 7: the wetland delineation memo does not contain wetland. This is from the peer reviewer, Weston and Sampson. The wetland delineation memo does not contain wetland determination data forms for the VW series that was delineated on site. And then this is a recommendation from Weston and Sampson. They recommend that the commission require that the wetland data forms be submitted to accompany the wetland delineation report. And then the applicant's botanist, ECR, this is their response to that comment. ECR stated that in their peer review response memo that wetland determination data forms are not necessary for this wetland system given the limited extent of the wetland that falls within the site boundaries, and that the wetland boundary is straightforward to define in the field. So that's the applicant's stance. Weston and Sampson, the commission's peer reviewer, is deferring this to the commission, whether or not the commission wants to require that these forms be submitted.
Mr. Jacobs, I see your hand up. You are muted, or it's not coming through the volume.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. To item 7, I've been working in Brockton for 40 years, and we've never, ever had to do data forms before. And I agree with Brad Holmes that, we're talking about riverbank here on the Trout Brook and the wetlands coming out of that drainage ditch. And the rest of the site is basically under pavement. I can't imagine why we would have to do data forms.
Agent
Never had to do
Hogan?
it before.
I mean, I tend to agree with Ed. I don't know that they're necessary on the site, but again, this is not. They're not asking for my opinion. They're asking for the commission's weigh in on this. So, that's. I would agree that this is very simply delineated wetland. What the wetland delineation forms are, just so the commission is aware, I'm not sure if you guys have ever actually seen these. They're forms that go through and talk about how the actual wetland line was delineated. And then again, if you look at the site plan that Samantha has shared here with you, oh gosh, I think I broke up.
I could hear you the whole time. I think you
Oh,
just
could you hear me the whole
froze.
time? All right. Well, you don't need to see me, but most of the actual wetland isn't even actually on the subject parcel. I think that the commission could find that these forms aren't necessary for this project.
Mr. Jacobs, did you have anything else to add? I see your hand still. Okay, back down.
Yeah, and I would just, one last thing, and we've expressed our concerns to Kyle, but I just wanted to bring them up to the board. And, we've had this project ready to go for many, many, many months. And, through the peer review process of, the new bylaw getting passed and the, for the peer review, getting 3 peer review people we can pick from. I mean, that has added like 9 months to this project. This is a project for veteran housing. It's a dilapidated building. It's an eyesore to the 10th degree. Our client is looking to beautify it. It's going to be good for the community to have veteran housing down there. It's going to be great for the veterans. And, he's already purchased the property and he's carrying a note now, a mortgage on this property, and it's just draining him. And, if we can just get these items cleared up tonight and get this guy moving forward, it would be huge for him. And it would be huge for the neighborhood in the city of Brockton.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Commissioners,
Do we have to vote on these separately or?
I think just like
Yeah,
discussing.
there's no vote necessary. We just need to come to a decision. There doesn't need to be an official vote. We would just need provide some guidance to the applicant. So on comment 7, does the commission want to require that these forms be submitted?
I don't think it needs to be submitted, but that's just my opinion.
I agree. I don't need a submission.
I agree.
I'm also in agreement.
Okay, great. Through the chair, may I move on to comment number 9, the next comment that was deferred to the commission?
Yes, you can, Agent Holden.
All right, I will just go ahead and read the entire thing out. So Weston and Sampson notes that the filing fee for the state and local project falls under category 3B. And then Weston Sampson recommends that the commissioner review the filing fee calculation to confirm whether the fee should have the riverfront area multiplier incorporated since part of the falls within the riverfront area. And then the applicant acknowledged the comment, and then Weston and Sampson is basically deferring this comment to the commission to see if this updated fee is going to be required. So on the site plan that Samantha has shared here, riverfront area is delineated with the purple kind of box-looking line around the Trout Brook. And you can see that there is a small portion of that corner of the property that does fall within the riverfront area. So what the comment is alluding to is when you file a notice of intent, there's a filing fee that goes both towards the local city and then also to the state. And that fee is determined based upon what work is proposed and what resource areas are impacted. So basically there's like a checklist that you go down and you say, okay, we're building a home in just the buffer zone, and then you can calculate a fee total. And then that fee total is split up between the city and the state. What the peer reviewer is saying is that the filing fee for this notice of intent filing did not include that work within the riverfront area would be, part of this project. And they're asking whether or not the commission wishes to have the applicant recalculate that fee and submit, the difference in the whatever that fee would be calculated as with the inclusion of the riverfront area to both the state and the city. So that's the question that's in front of the commission.
Okay, and I'd just like to comment on that as well.
Yes,
can
may,
see-
Mr. Jacobs.
Yep, you can see from the plan that Sammy just had up. Sammy, can you bring that other plan back up? I'm sorry, the existing conditions. Everything that's shaded in gray is pavement.
Mhm.
So you can see there's pavement inside the 25-foot riverfront, right?
Mhm.
So can you go to the next one, Sammy? The landscape plan, please. And you can see now that most of the work is, when we do our work, the actual areas inside of the riverfront buffers are drastically reduced. It's actually going to be better for the riverfront area. So, this is a pre-development project inside the riverfront area. So we're actually making it better.
Agent Holden, I don't really know much about the fees. Just is
Well,
the fee just for any work done in
Yeah,
general?
it's basically for work that's done within that area, whether or not like there's, if it's going to be developed or improved, that doesn't really come into it. Generally speaking, again, the amount of this project that's within Riverfront is very small, but the work will be done within that riverfront area. So the question is, does the commission want the applicant to revise that calculation and provide the difference in that fee to the city and to the state?
So they would have to kind of like calculate how much it'd be impacting the fees based on that, like.
Yeah, it would
on
just
the, okay.
yeah, it would increase the basically it would increase the fee required to be submitted for the filing. And so they've already paid a portion. They've already submitted that filing fee to the city and to the state. So we wouldn't be requiring a new total, just the difference between the revised calculation and what they've already paid.
Commissioners, any opinions on if that?
One last thing. Sammy, did you have something to say?
Oh, I mean, we didn't receive anything from the state that we owed them any additional fees, so I think we're good on that front. The state didn't require anything else from us.
If the commission were to require this, if the commission were to require that this calculation be revised, then the applicant would be required to fund that to the state, whether the state proactively requested that change or not.
All right, so I will say this, if this is gonna hold us up over this fee, I'm sure my client would agree to pay, you know, the fee for the riverfront area. You know, if we could, you know, along with the other comments, vote for an approval tonight with the condition that those fees will be paid.
There's no way that I would be recommending to the commission that they issue an order of conditions this evening. These
Why is
comments
that?
that were the comments that we're reviewing tonight are the comments that were deferred to the commission. There are several other comments throughout this entire review that you've already submitted a response to, and that's back before the peer reviewer. So like we're way ahead of ourselves asking for an order of conditions this evening. So the purpose of the discussion tonight is to review the comments that were deferred to the commission to give input on, for them to give input on those specific comments, so those can be addressed, you know, before the following meeting. And we also don't issue conditional order of conditions, like where you know, we're going to issue the order and then subject to this happening down the line. That's just not how things are done. So in any case, commissioners, what do we think about the notice of intent filing fee revisions?
Kyle, do you know if is it a significant amount of money? Do you have a rough idea?
I haven't looked at this honestly. I mean, I've got several other things that I'm dealing with currently other than
Well,
this.
that's the problem, isn't it?
Um,
Been waiting 9 months to get in front of you guys.
Unfortunately, Mr. Jacob, some of that was due to the city ordinance, which was
I
out of
I
our
understand
control.
that, but I do understand that, but you know, there's out in the real world, there's people losing money over this, okay? So, you
We
know,
understand that, but unfortunately,
well,
the
I don't
job of
know
our
if you
commission is
do.
to
I don't know
help
if you
with the
do.
Wetland Protection Act, and we have things to do, and one of that will is to go through these comments. And right now, what we can do is just get through these comments and make sure those are set, because then we can get that ahead of time, and that way, you know, we can move on with the next set of reviews. That way, we can get you closer to an order of conditions another month. Agent Holden, would you like to, well, sorry,
so we're still
commissioners.
kind of waiting for the commission to weigh in on the revised filing fee, if that's something that they would wish to be require of the applicant.
I'm confused about it. You've already paid some money and now you're being requested to pay another fee.
So
Is that based on the size of the area that's being impacted?
So when an applicant puts together the notice of intent, like application packet, they fill out a form from the state, and part of that is a filing fee that goes along with the notice of intent, and that fee is calculated by the applicant based upon what work is proposed on the site and what resource areas will be impacted. So what the commission's peer reviewer is saying is that they think the peer reviewer thinks that this fee was calculated incorrectly. It did not include all the resource areas that would be impacted from this project. So the peer reviewer is asking the commission if the commission wishes to require that the applicant revise that calculation to include the riverfront area.
And then pay
So
that
yes,
additional
they've
amount.
already paid a fee as part of the notice of intent filing fee to even open the public hearing. Oh, I broke up again. Did I break up there?
I could
No,
hear you
we
now, you're
heard
just
you.
frozen.
Okay, so that's where we are with this. So the peer reviewer is saying that there was an additional resource area that wasn't calculated as far as determining what that fee was initially, and whether or not the commission cares to require the applicant to revise that calculation and then pay the state and the you know the city the difference.
Commissioners, any opinions on that filing fee addition?
I
Is it
would vote
something
to
that,
recalculate it.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I said I would vote to have it recalculated.
If this is something that we require of all applicants in the city, then I don't think we can make exceptions. I think we need to stick to the rules. if this is required for everybody, then I think across the board, then it needs to be recalculated.
Commissioner Talbot, do you also want to add anything, or
I agree with Peggy.
if it's, yeah, something that is just required anyways, just I think having it
Because
recalculated
then
so it's correct.
if we make an exception, then it may be viewed as being favoritism or things like that. But if this is something that's required on all applicants, then this needs to be recalculated.
I agree. I think setting that precedent that it's accurate for all applicants as well is good. So Agent Horn, it seems like for comment 9, Commission would like to see that recalculated and that difference paid.
Okay, great. Thank you. The next comment that was deferred to the commission is comment number 13. I'll go ahead and read this entire thing as well. So this is from Weston and Sampson. The applicant proposes landscape plantings within the 100-foot buffer zone, shown on sheet 5 of the permit drawings. While some of these species are native to Massachusetts, some are not. The commission may wish to require that all plantings proposed within jurisdictional areas be native species. And then the applicant has acknowledged this comment and didn't make any changes to the plan, presumably. And then Weston and Sampson defers to the commission if they wish to require that all plantings within that jurisdictional area be native species.
Don't we require that on all of the applicants to
No, not
plant with
necessarily.
native species?
I mean, no, not necessarily. But that's why the peer reviewer is making this comment to see if the commission wants to require that. So that's certainly within your authority. It's within the jurisdictional areas. So if you want to require native species, then you are able to require those species be native species.
Commissioners?
Have they already picked
I'm gonna
out?
go with.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sharifa.
Oh no, I'm just trying to move it up faster, saying that I would be okay with being native species.
Mhm.
If they have something picked out already, that's great. If they could let us know. If not,
As long as it's not invasive, I don't think I have a problem with it. No smoke bush or Japanese knotweed or things like that.
Agent Holden, do we know if those non-native species I assume are also not invasive too, or?
I've looked as deeply into this as the comment that I've just read. So I don't know what species are currently proposed. It's just whether the commission wishes to require that they be native or not.
If it's not native to this area, it may not survive. So you might plant it and put all that effort into it. But if it's not native and it doesn't survive, then you're going to have to replace it with something else. So if you start with the native from the beginning, you're going to save yourself money in the long run.
I also am a fan of native species
I would
just
just
for
say-
our native pollinators and other animals and species.
Yeah, I would just say that we're not opposed to making them all native species. That's not a problem.
I believe for that comment, then Agent Holden, native species would be preferred and
All right.
required.
Great, thank you. Next comment is comment number 15. And this is from Weston and Sampson. A copy of all revised submissions should be sent to Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection Regional Office for their records. And then the applicant acknowledges that comment. And then the current ask is, or what was deferred to the commission is, Weston and Sampson suggests that the commission might wish to require proof of submission of your revised materials to Mass DEP. So as we go through this peer review process, the ultimate end product that we are approving, Weston and Sampson is saying that that should be submitted to the state as well, so they have a copy of everything. And then whether or not the commission requires the applicant to provide that proof that was sent to the to Mass DEP. We generally don't require this of other applicants. This is a little beyond what we generally require. So again, this is just kind of thrown at the commission to see how you all feel about this.
Well, if it's not something that's required from other applicants, I don't see why it should be required of this applicant.
I think it's technically required of all applicants, but we don't normally follow through and make sure that they provide proof of submission of those things to the state.
Mr. Perrault? might not pronounce that right. I'm sorry.
Yes, it's fine. We send everything to the state with the transmittal cover sheet. And what we will do when we send the finished product to the state, we will provide the commission with the copy of the transmittal that basically indicates that we sent it off.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to just to do that, and then I think we can move on from this comment.
Mhm.
All right, so that would just be the transmittal, Agent Holden.
Okay.
Comment 17?
Yeah, and the next comment is comment number 17. So this is Weston and Sampson. Observe that the bank of the unnamed tributary to Trout Brook, adjacent to the BVW Series A, has not been delineated. Excuse me. Only the outermost BVW boundaries were delineated. Some of the BVW flags appeared to be coincident with the inland bank associated with the unnamed tributary. I'm going to summarize. This is a long comment. Ultimately, the question is and again, I think that this is something that the commission can kind of waive. Oftentimes, there might be a bank that's delineated that's then within a bordering vegetated wetland or some other resource area, and the applicant only flagged the BVW rather than the bank. This doesn't really have any impact on the development, because what we're looking at ultimately is that outermost resource area that's jurisdictional. And this is asking whether or not we want to have the applicant like also delineate a resource area that's internal to the closest resource area to the development. This happens all the time on other submissions where there might be a waterway with an associated BVW, and the BVW is all that we require to be delineated, and not the inland bank or something else that's interior to that. So I think that the commission can kind of waive this comment and not worry about the actual stream delineation, because we're looking at that BVW that's kind of exterior to that.
Would it be too much to ask Ms. Cripps just to pull up the plan just so we can see where that bank they think would be deviated within, or is that too much? Thank you. I just wanted to see it so I know.
So, I mean, the specific comment, I'm not sure where this intermittent stream is located. Do any of the applicants know what specifically they're looking at here?
Yeah, I do. I actually grew up down here. So that is an outlet for Intervale Street and Bellevue Avenue. It's a huge drainage system that catches all the drainage in the village and comes out of like a 36-inch pipe right above where it says NF Gary Lawsowitz. Sammy, if you could highlight that. Go up. Right,
Oh,
yeah, right about where flag A7 is, that's probably where the pipe outlets. And it runs right into Trout Brook, and it's just a drainage outlet for all of Intervale and Bellevue Avenue. And as you know, Bellevue Avenue rises probably over 100 feet from here up to the top of the hill. So there's a huge pipe that outlets there. So if you hold the riverfront at 25 feet, it doesn't even reach our property. Where
Yeah,
that says,
I guess so the question is, there's a water conveyance, a stream that's likely intermittent that flows from that outfall that Ed was referring to. That this intermittent stream is interior to the delineated BVW. And
correct.
so the question is, does the commission wish the applicant to also delineate that intermittent stream bank? And again, we're not impacting the wetland at all. The wetland contains that inland bank, potentially of that intermittent stream. So I don't know that it's necessary to have that delineated on this plan, especially because the wetland is not on the subject parcel. If it were on the subject parcel, you may wish to include that just so it was part of the record, but it doesn't really impact the development over here at 30 Intervale.
Thank you, Agent Holden. Thank you, Ms. Cripps. Commissioners, are you okay with not flagging it since it's internal to the BVW?
I don't think it's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary either.
Commissioner Matt?
Same.
All right. So, Agent Holden, looks like that is not necessary for comment 17.
All right, and I think the last one here is comment 18.
Yes.
And ultimately, this is there's a dispute about the location of wetland flag. Let's see, IB1, which is the intermittent the bank. Can we pull that up, Sam? Do you have that? Can you show us the IB1 flag?
That is right here at the bottom.
Okay, so there's just kind of a dispute about where this flag should be located. I'll read the whole comment. So Weston and Sampson reviewed the Inland Bank Series IB and observed that flags IB1 through IB5 in the field during the site visit. However, IB6 was not observed in the field. Remnants of a blue flagging were observed, and Weston and Sampson observed that the missing IB6 flag. They assumed that's what that was and agree with the location of that flag. So then Weston and Sampson agree with all of the inland bank flags except for the placement of flag IB1, which Sam just highlighted for us, which Weston and Sampson recommended be removed approximately 2 to 3 feet up gradient. So the applicant has acknowledged this comment, though then Weston and Sampson notes that that recommended change was not made on subsequent plans. So Weston and Sampson is recommending still that the flag be moved approximately 2 to 3 feet up gradient, but defers to the commission. So this is kind of where we are. Would we like the applicant to move that flag up gradient as is recommended by the commission's peer reviewer?
And that's moving the flag how it's like on the plans, it just is reflected to where it is in real life.
No, I think
Oh,
it's the flag is in one location currently, and Weston and Sampson believes that it's too far. It doesn't encapsulate all the protected resource areas, so it needs to be moved up gradient so that it includes all of the like the bank that it's delineating. So Weston and Sampson is basically stating that the flag is too close. And doesn't capture all of the area of the bank. So they're recommending that the flag be moved farther away from like the area of flow, so it includes the all of the jurisdictional bank area.
oh, so it's the actual physical flag. Okay.
Sammy, can you zoom in on that flag? Yeah, so it's that flag right there. So it's off the property, number one. And if we move it up grading, how many feet did you say, Kyle? Sorry.
The comment letter says 2 to 3 feet.
Yeah, so that would move not even over to where that red line is drawn. I mean, we'll move it, but 2 feet. And it's off the property. It's kind of nitpicking to me, but we'll move it.
Commissioners, any opinion on if you want them to move the flag the 2 to 3 feet?
I will note just for the commission's record, these when we confirm these boundaries, they are they're considered valid for 3 years. So this wetland or not, what we're looking here is the bank of the brook that flows through here. But if another one of these adjacent properties wishes to do a development, they could take this exact line that the commission ultimately approves as part of this filing, and they would have an argument to say, hey, this is the line that we're going to use because the commission just approved this line for this other filing. So it is important to get these, so they are accurate.
Commissioners?
I mean, Mr. Jacobs said he'd move it 3 feet, so let's just move it 3 feet. It's an easy fix.
I agree.
I agree.
So, Kyle, the last comment, yes to moving it that 3 feet up gradient.
All right, great. Thank you. So I will write all this up and give Weston and Sampson kind of a summary of what was discussed tonight and what the commission's decisions were on all of these. And then that way we can incorporate all these decisions into the review and make sure that the next round of, well, just so some of these things are going to require the applicant to do some things, so I'll work with them and their peer reviewer to get all that sorted out, and then hopefully, depending on the rest of the comments that still need to be addressed according to this peer review letter. And again, this is the new set of revised materials the applicant has already submitted. Hopefully, we'll get all that sorted out and be in a good place to issue the order at the June meeting. But I'll work with both the applicant and the peer reviewer to get this all sorted out over the next couple of weeks.
It's greatly appreciated, and for the commissioners, thank you for your patience tonight to work through all these details, especially with the rest of your agenda. I know you've been very busy, and it's not your fault that the city decides to pass an ordinance that messes you all up on review. So it is appreciated, and we want to thank you.
Thank you for your patience as we went through all the comments, and I'm glad we could get those addressed so you can continue on to the next step of the review process. So then it sounds like, wait, hold on. Any public comment, I guess, because it is a notice of intent.
Yeah, and then after that, if there's no other comment from the applicant or the public, then
Vote
we
to continue.
Yep. I don't see any hands raised, Madam Chair.
Okay, so if there's no other comments from commissioners or public, I entertain a motion from the commissioners to continue. Oops, hold on. We're doing 30 Intervale Street to the June 18th meeting.
I make a motion to move the 30 Intervale Street to the June 18th meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and second to continue. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Knapp, aye.
Talbot, aye.
Green eye. Motion is passed. I hope everything works well and that we will see you for June 18th and that you get your order of conditions, hopefully.
Thank
Thank you
you.
again.
Have a great evening.
You too.
All right, next filing is file number 12, notice of intent for 0 Lawton Avenue, new home construction. If anyone is in the public to speak on this filing, please raise your hand.
Madam Chair, I do not see anyone that's associated with the project, nor do I see any hands raised in the attendees. So I think we are free to continue this to the next month's meeting.
All right, commissioners, I entertain motion to continue 0 Lawton Ave for the June 18th meeting.
I make a motion to continue to the June 18th meeting, 0 Lawton Avenue.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Knapp, aye.
Talbot, aye.
Green eye. Motion has been passed. All right. File number 13, notice of intent, 136 Brookins Avenue, two-family home construction. Again, if anyone is here to speak to that, please raise your hand, or if Agent Holden, you see anyone.
Yes, Madam Chair, I do not see any hands raised, nor do I see the applicant or anyone associated with the project in the attendees with their hand raised.
Thank you. Commissioners, I entertain motion to continue 136 Brookins Ave to the June 18th meeting.
I make a motion to continue 136 Perkins Avenue to the June 18th meeting.
I'll second.
We need a second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Knapp, aye.
Talbot, aye.
Green eye. Motion passes. All right. File number 14, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for 0 Hammond Street. If anyone's here to speak, or raise your hand.
Madam Chair, I do not see anyone associated with the project, nor any hands raised from the attendees list to speak to this project. I recommend continuance to the June meeting.
Thank you, commissioners. Do I hear a vote to continue 0 Hammond Street to the June meeting?
A motion to continue 0 Hammond Street to the June 18th meeting.
In the second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Knapp, aye.
Talbot, aye.
Green eye. Motion passes. File number 15, notice of intent for 68 12th Avenue. If anyone's here to speak to it, please raise your hand.
Madam Chair, I do not see anyone with their hand raised, nor anyone associated with the project in the attendees list.
Thank you, commissioners. Do I hear a motion to continue 68 12th Avenue to the June meeting?
I make a motion to continue to the June 18th meeting, 68 12th Avenue. Oh my God, someone
Second.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Nap aye.
Talbot, aye.
Green eye. Motion passes. File number 16, notice of intent for 50 Christie's Drive. If anyone's here to speak to that, please raise your hand.
Madam Chair, I do not see anyone with their hand raised in the attendees list, nor anyone associated with the project in the meeting tonight.
Thank you. Commissioners, do I hear a motion to continue 50 Christie's Drive to the June meeting?
I make a motion to continue 50 Christie's Drive to the June 18th meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Nap aye.
Talbot, aye.
Green eye. Motion has been passed. Vote has been, yeah, sorry. File number 17, notice of intent 196 Manley Street. If anyone's here to speak to it, please raise your hand.
Madam Chair, I do not see anyone present in the meeting or any attendees with their hand raised.
Thank you. Commissioners, do I hear a motion to continue 196 Manley Street to the June meeting?
I make a motion to continue 196 Manley Street to the June 18th meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Nap aye.
Talbot, aye.
Green eye. Motion passes. File number 18, amended order of conditions for 159 Torrey Street. Again, if anyone's here to speak, please raise your hand.
Just a quick update on this. We were waiting for the applicant to submit revised plans to the commission based upon comments from the Brockton Fire Department. And we did just receive those plans. So in the next day or two, I will be sending a proposal or rather a request for proposals from the commission's 3 peer reviewers. That way we can get this peer review process started. This has kind of been on hold for several months while they've been working with the fire department to get those plans revised. So just an update, but after saying that, Madam Chair, I do not see anyone with their hands raised, nor anyone associated with the project, present at tonight's meeting.
Thank you for the update, Agent Honan. Commissioners, do I hear a motion then to continue 159 Torrey Street to the June 18th meeting?
Make a motion to continue 159 Torrey Street to the June 18th meeting.
I second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Nap aye.
Talbot, aye.
Green eye. Motion passes. Number 19 was withdrawn, and so that brings us to our violation discussion. So item number 20, 0 West Chestnut Street, with all the parcels and AKA names.
Yeah, there's a lot going on over there. So, Madam Chair, I did receive a communication from Frank Gallagher, the lead engineer for this. I don't want to say development in fear of offending some of the people in attendance tonight, but the wetland crossing that was permitted under the order of conditions that's been issued for this parcel. As you may recall, the commission was made aware of a pipe that was installed in the wetland crossing wing wall that was not part of the approved plan set. And then we issued a request to the property owner to submit a narrative and an updated as-built plan that reflected the current site conditions. And that included the pipe, just to confirm that it was not hooked up to anything and there was no actual flow going through that pipe into the wetland, because that would require additional review and approval, because that was not a part of the initial plan set that was approved by the commission. So it's taken a while, but we did finally receive that as-built that was stamped by the engineer Frank Gallagher that included that pipe. I just received that a day or two ago, or I guess it was last week. I reviewed that. The pipe length is 15 feet. I tried to go. Well, I did go out to the site today after work and tried to confirm the depth of the pipe. But the tool that I used was not rigid enough to make it the 15 feet in. So I will endeavor over the next couple weeks to find something else to confirm the depth or the length of that pipe. But at this point, I think the applicant, well, not the applicant, but the property owner has provided the commission with all of the required and requested information to demonstrate that there was not a violation. There's been a change to the plan, but there's no negative impact currently to the wetland resource area. The inclusion of that pipe can be just included ultimately in the request for a certificate of compliance, which is likely going to be coming in the next year or so, I would imagine. The wetland crossing, which was permitted, has been installed. The wetland replication area has been planted. So at this point, I anticipate, not necessarily soon. I'm not sure if there's a monitoring a period required for that wetland restoration area, but they can just include the addition of this pipe in that request for certificate of compliance, rather than going through like an amended order of conditions to after the fact to approve the installation of that pipe. Would you like to see the as-built that was submitted, or I mean, it is all in the file. The file is publicly available on the planning department website, so it's accessible.
Commissioners, would you like to see the as-built plan?
Yes, please.
I would be curious after these couple meetings to see it.
All right, yeah, I can absolutely do that. So if you recall, we were submitted an as-built a month or so ago that did not include the pipe. I'm going to zoom into the portion of the plan. So this is the wing wall that this pipe was installed in. I can't zoom in anymore, but this is the 15-foot RCP pipe that outflows if it were hooked up to anything. There's no actual flow going through this pipe, but that is that's kind of the area of concern here. And then you can see over here to the right, it's been signed and stamped by Frank Gallagher. The reason that is important is because this is kind of Frank's license would be forfeit if this plan were inaccurate as far as what it was depicting in the as-built.
Thank you. Commissioner Talbot, I saw your hand raised earlier. Do you still have a question or comment?
Yeah, mine was more towards Kyle. Kyle, if you go out and remeasure, I have laser tape measures that we could literally hold, and we hit a point, it'll tell you exact footage to the centimeter.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'll be in touch, Commissioner Talbot, and we can maybe, if you'd like to, you can go out there and check it out with me.
Sure.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And then, at this point, through the chair, I guess, may I continue?
Sorry, what was that?
I just wanted to make sure I can continue to speak kind of on this. Is that
yes,
right?
it's noted. You may continue to speak.
Yeah, I think that at this point, the property owner has kind of addressed all the concerns that we raised in our initial, request for additional information. So, subject to any additional comments from the community or concerns from the commission, I would recommend that we drop this violation or this subject from our kind of ongoing violation discussion.
All right. Any other comments from commissioners? Otherwise, I open it up to hear public hearing comment.
Yeah, just a point of record. This is not a public hearing.
Yeah,
We
sorry.
are obviously, we've been very open to hearing public comment. So I will go ahead and promote Pat Jacobson, who has their hand raised.
Good evening.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, this is Pat Jacobson, and I live in the development adjacent to where this area of land is located. Through the chair, if I could, Kyle, will you have any involvement at all if there's any approval of a development or anything else? For at the present time, that's all been you have approved what work that was done apparently, but there is no development yet. There is no road approved and there is no development. Would the Conservation Commission be involved again if there was another development plan brought before the planning board?
Ultimately, yes. Any additional work, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again just to kind of show what we're dealing with. So here in the middle of the screen is the wetland crossing, and that's the only thing that was permitted under the current and active order of conditions, and that has been constructed. There is it's not a real road, but there is a path that's it's like crushed gravel that goes back through here. if a roadway, a subdivision were to be approved here through planning board, and then they went through and then were to construct additional things here, yes, that would have to go through a review and approval by the Conservation Commission, just showing kind of what the jurisdictional areas here are. We have a BVW, bordering vegetated wetland delineated through here. And then all these lines are the jurisdictional buffer zone. So the Conservation Commission has a 100-foot jurisdictional buffer zone around a BVW. So any work that was proposed within any of these the buffer zones, 100 foot, would trigger that review from the commission.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. Any other hands for public comment?
I do not see any other hands raised, Madam Chair.
All right. If commissioners are okay with that, then I guess Agent Honan, we just do we
Yeah,
do
there's
anything
no
to drop
vote.
it or just
There's no vote necessary here. We've never actually issued an enforcement order on this or anything. It was just a request for information. So I will reach out to to Frank. He's been my point of contact for this, and let him know that the commission's satisfied with what information has been provided, and that the matter is closed.
okay? Awesome, thank you. Right. And then we are on number 21, violation discussion for 0 Clearden Street.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't see anyone in the attendees list that's associated with this, but if there is someone here to speak to this, please raise your hand. At last month's meeting, we reviewed a violation notice that I had sent out, and the commission decided to kind of escalate that violation notice to an enforcement order. That enforcement order was issued. And in that enforcement order, we required what was discussed at last month's meeting, but as part of that, we required that the violator attend this meeting. So if they are not here, there's really no more to discuss. I will reach out to them again to see if if we can get them to attend the June meeting.
Agent Honan, do we know that the violator also has received the enforcement order with that requirement?
Right, and that's the thing. It's sent through a certified mail, so it's assumed legally to have been delivered, but I've not received any sort of correspondence from them to confirm that they have received this. So that's kind of what I will endeavor to do over the next month or so, and confirm that they've received it, and then also try to see if they will attend the meeting next month.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions or comments about that? All right, so I guess thank you for the update on that. So then the next one, 22, is violation discussion for 10 Exeter Street.
And yeah, this is kind of a similar thing. We reviewed this enforcement order at last month's meeting, but the commission really wanted the person who's doing the development and the person that the enforcement order was issued to attend the meeting tonight. I did email her earlier today, but I do not see her in the attendees. So I imagine that she may have been on at the beginning of the meeting, but now that it's 2.5 hours or 2 hours in, she is no longer present. So I can see if she can attend the meeting next month. Ultimately, at this point, the fill that was added to the buffer zone has been removed, and the commission last month required a restoration plan be submitted to the commission. So I guess what I'll do now is I'll follow up with her, see if she will attend the meeting next month. But the real thing that I'm concerned about is just to make sure that she knows what has been there are new asks from the commission that weren't included in the initial enforcement order that I had issued. But the ratified and revised enforcement order has some additional requirements that I want to make sure that she's aware of, and she's moving forward to address those things. So I will reach out to her before the next meeting, and I'll have an update to you, and hopefully she'll be in attendance at the next meeting. But otherwise, I'll have an update for the commission about what work is how the progress of that restoration plan.
All right, thank you so much. Commissioners, any comments or questions about that update? All right, thank you so much, Agent Honan, for that work. All right, so then on our last one, 23, violation discussion for 31 Otis Street. I see a hand raised.
Yeah, there are several people here that are here to speak to this. But before we allow them
Yep.
to talk, I'd like to maybe go over the enforcement order that I've issued for the commission's sake, and then the violator and then their representative can come before the commission. So ultimately, the property here at 31 Otis Street. There was a home that used to be on the property, and that had two different fires in 2024. The second fire was in late December, and that basically the building was not salvageable after that second fire. So the building department, the Brockton Building Department, issued an emergency order permitting the destruction of that unsafe structure. Let me I'd like to pull up a map to show you where the location of 31 Otis Street is. It is, let me just do that real quick. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so what we're doing here is we're looking at 31 Otis Street. I'm going to turn down some of these layers. So the parcel here is 31 Otis Street. This image was from 2023. So obviously this home is no longer here. This is the home that was caught on fire, and it was ultimately removed. And again, as I said, the building department issued an emergency permit allowing for the removal of this structure, and it was just for the removal of the structure. And then there are several other I just want to highlight the kind of the resource areas of concern here. So I'm not sure if this is Salisbury Brook, I think, is what's running back through here, and obviously it runs along two sides of the subject property, to the west side and then to the south side. I met with the developer earlier this year, and because they're obviously wanting to get this home rebuilt. So I met with him, and he's present tonight, and talked about what was required from the commission to get a permit, the order of conditions to do this construction of a new home on the property. Explained to them that a notice of intent was required for the various reasons, and talked through that process. Ultimately, in late March, the building department issued a permit allowing for the construction of the foundation only, and that work was begun. And obviously, work cannot be done in the floodplain, or within the 100-foot buffer to bank, or within riverfront area without having an order of conditions from the commission. So that is why the enforcement order was issued. The enforcement order basically, and I'll share some photos here in a moment. The site's been kind of regraded and cleared. There used to be a parking, paid parking area that was on site that's been, pulled up. And again, the bank of the brook is feet from the whole parcel is just right there on the bank. So ultimately, the enforcement order was issued, and unfortunately, before the enforcement order was even issued, I had been working with the applicant's representative, Farland Corp, to develop to get the notice of intent submission. That the submission has been in my hands for maybe a month and a half or so. There are some problems with that notice of intent submission that I've been working with Farland Corp to address. So we've never opened the public hearing for this notice of intent yet, because there are a couple outstanding issues with submitted plans and things like that. So again, the notice of intent that the enforcement order is requiring is in progress. But we just cannot allow work to continue here until we get that notice of intent in our hands, and we're able to review that and then issue that order of conditions. So with all that said, I can share some photos of the site, and then I'll open it up for we have a representative from Farland Corp here with us tonight, and then also the developer. So let me just pull up my photos. All right. So when I initially went out to the site, this was on April 7th. This is when I went out for review of the actual notice of intent filing. So this is about a month before I issued the enforcement order. So I'm standing basically on the bridge that goes over. This is Otis Street that goes over Salisbury Brook. I'm looking at the subject parcel. It's surrounded by this construction fencing. Initially, I thought that this excavation for the basement was a result of the demolition of the pre-existing building. I was unaware that they were planning on moving forward with the construction of the foundation for the new structure. So I'm just going to cycle through. And again, you can see the entire lot's been cleared. There used to be grass and like a paved drive parking area along the near side of the house closer to the camera, and that's all been removed. So basically, the entire site has been regraded to some extent. There's been some working. This erosion control is a straw wattle erosion control. This is not generally the erosion controls that we require as a commission. This straw wattle does not hold up very well over time. It breaks down very quickly. So generally, the commission requires a 12-inch compost-filled silt sock erosion controls to be installed. This pile of fill is within the riverfront area. It's within the floodplain, and it's from the excavation of that basement. Just kind of looking here again, there's the excavation for the basement. And again, I was out here initially for the review of the notice of intent. I'm going to go back and look at some other photos that I took. This is the day that I met with people doing the work on the site and the developer. And you can see that they have the foundation poured and they're actively doing work. So they were adding this stone to the interior of the foundation. Currently on site, they have much more lumber and wood that's staged there. I think they were getting ready to frame the building. And I was able to issue the enforcement order before that's happened. I've been out to the site at the beginning of this week, and at least since the beginning of this week, no additional work has been done on the site since I issued the order. So again, this is actually before the issuance of the order. I'm going to pull up a couple other sites, a couple other photos in a moment. But again, I just want to note that this pile of fill is still here, and this gravel was still being added to the basement. And then finally, there are more photos here you guys can look at later, but this set of photos were taken a couple days later. This is the day that the enforcement order was actually issued. This is like basically representative of the current site conditions. So again, the foundation has been poured. Again, there are more materials have been delivered to the site. This is all wood, the various types for the framing. But I want to note here that that big pile of fill that was here in the previous photos is no longer really here. That was used to backfill around the foundation. And that pile of stone is also vastly diminished because that's been added to the interior of the foundation. And again, I want to point out here, obviously a significant grading has been done on the site. Problems that causes a ton of issues for the commission because the whole site is within floodplain. I know the applicant and their representative are going to say that they don't think it's within the floodplain, and that's based upon site elevation. But again, we don't know what the initial site elevation was based upon this photo anyway. I know Farland Corp had a previous site survey that was done before the fire. So anyway, this is a very complicated notice of intent now that there's all this work that's been done on the site. So ultimately tonight, the commission needs to ratify the enforcement order, make any changes to that enforcement order that the commission wants to add if necessary. And then also we have Farland Corp, the applicant's representative, and then also the applicant is here tonight as well. So with all that said, I think I will turn this over to the chair and to the two representatives here to talk to the commission.
Yes, that would be great. Should I guess, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Nate De Silva is with Farland Corp, and Alvaro Gomez is the developer and the applicant for the notice of intent that we are currently working with.
All right, Good evening, Mr. Silva, Mr. Gomez. Thank you for coming and waiting to join us this late.
Yeah, no problem. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Has Alvaro joined as an attendee? Can you see him on or?
Yep, I see him. He's been promoted and his video is on.
Okay, so I don't know if initially, did you guys have any questions or comments for us before you want us to just kind of elaborate on our end, or?
Commissioners, do you have any direct questions, or would you just like to hear from their end first and then see if you have any questions after that, I guess? Right, so if you could go ahead, Mr. De Silva, and
Yeah, so just briefly from my point of view, Kyle had already alluded to it, but we were contracted by the developer to basically put together the notice of initially put together a survey for this plan, which was done late last year, as Kyle had mentioned, and that plan was that intention was to do a site plan survey and then put together a site plan design for the new building that was going to be proposed following the removal of the old building that was to be destroyed due to its unsafe infrastructure because of the fires. Um, Between now and then, we had put together a site plan design for our initial notice of intent filing. I forget the exact date that was sent in to Kyle. I think it was around March, like he said, maybe about a month and a half ago. And between now and then, that site plan design that we had originally put through. We were given some revisions that we got back from the conservation agent regarding just some changes to be made to the plan, some additional wetland delineation that would have been required. He wanted an updating existing conditions because the site was altered from our original survey, considering that the building had been demolished between now and then. So all pretty standard sort of revisions that you would have to make during a notice of intent filing. So that's what we were prepared to do. But between some point around that point of the process, the building department had also issued the contractor a permit to go ahead and pour the foundation. And that foundation was poured per the new site plan that we had originally submitted with a notice of intent. And that was at least from my understanding, what was one of the main issues with the Conservation Commission, because that foundation shouldn't have been poured. And I don't know if there was miscommunication between the two departments, and on our end, we shouldn't have poured it or whatever the case may have been. But that's kind of where it stands on my end as the project engineer. And to my understanding now tonight, we kind of want to get the violation and whatever things we need resolved for that, so we could then have the notice of intent heard at the next hearing or as soon as possible and go from there.
Mr. Gomez, do you have anything to add? Um,
Yeah, so all the work that we have done there, we have done it with a permit. And I understand the conservation concern, but we have limited time to put the owner back into the house because the insurance is paying for where he's living. She's actually here with us tonight because she only got 6 months where she's living now. And then what she's gonna do? She's gonna be basically homeless. She needs to get back into her house. All the work that we have done there is been with permits.
I understand that.
Building permit.
Unfortunately, it was.
I don't know if the conservation and the building department they talk to each other, but all the work that we have done there is with permit.
I understand that. Unfortunately, it was through building department, and from my understanding, Agent Honan has started talking about the requirement of an NOI and that there need to be an order of conditions. Agent Honan, if you have anything else to say, or clarify about that, or I guess it sounds like Agent Honan had been in the process of the NOI, and with the NOI, even though it was submitted, it hadn't been opened up, so you hadn't come, either you or Mr. De Silva, to talk about the plans to the commission, so everything could be approved and an order of conditions could be made, and then like a site meeting with our agent to make sure that when work actually starts, that it's going to be followed by the plan, despite the permit coming from the building department. There was also it seems some miscommunication, but there was also a requirement to be able to. There was also a requirement that the Conservation Commission has to be able to approve that plan to have that order of conditions because of all those resource areas that can be seen around that site.
If I may, Madam Chair,
Yes,
to
go
kind of
ahead.
summarize what you're saying there is that you may have the building permit, but that does not uh, uh, waive the requirement to also have the order of conditions. They're not mutually exclusive. You must have both to do the construction. And why the building permit was issued, I'm not part of the building department, but I did communicate with you that the notice of intent was required and an order of conditions was required before work was done at the site for the excavation. So unfortunately, both permits are going to need to be in hand before you may continue with work on the site. And that's what we're trying to do with working with Farland Corp to get the filing put together so we can begin that review process. As far as the timeline of the homeowner that's going to live there, that's just an unfortunate circumstance. Like this is going to be and especially since there's been the work that's been done at the site, this is going to be an extended and complicated review, complicated even further by the fact that now we have various different stages of work that's been done on the site. So all that said is, we will be endeavoring to do this as quickly as possible. But again, we must do this following the law that's out there. And the first thing is, we need to have all the required material be submitted as far as that notice of intent filing. So if I may just kind of review what the enforcement order is actually currently requiring. So the requirements that I have in the enforcement order, and again, the commission will need to ratify this order tonight. And then also, if the commission wishes to modify the order, add additional things to the order, remove things from the order, that's up to the commission. But currently, the enforcement order requires the following. One, cease and desist of all activities and construction within the riverfront area, bank, bordering land subject to flooding, and the 100-foot buffer zone to bank. So just stop all work on the site. Number two, the erosion controls consisting of 12-inch diameter compost-filled biodegradable silt sock shall be installed at the current limit of disturbance. This is the type of erosion controls that we require in all of our filings. And especially because this is so close to that resource area, the current erosion controls are not sufficient. So before we even accept that notice of intent filing, we need to have the more, the new erosion controls installed that are going to be sufficient to protect that resource area during the duration of the review process, and then those erosion controls can stay in place while the development is actually being constructed. Number three, and again, this has been kind of changed and outdated because when I had gone out to the site, there was that big pile of fill still existed. But number three says all excess fill from the excavation of the basement shall be removed from the bordering land subject to flooding. Again, you're not allowed to change the flood storage capacity of of bordering land subject to flooding. The FEMA flood zone. So there's this big pile of fill. That comment has basically already been addressed because they've taken that fill and backfilled around the basement. So we don't need to really worry about that. Number four, all construction materials shall be removed from the bordering land subject to flooding. So as I showed in those most recent photos, there is a significant amount of construction material staged on site currently that they are, presumably ready to move forward with the framing of the home. My concern is that, and this is something that I'm working with Nate on, is for this notice of intent filing, we're going to need really kind of three different plans. We need the first plan is the pre-existing site plan. There was a survey that was done in 2024 before the home was deconstructed after the fire that shows the pre-existing site grading. So that's plan one. Then we need a second plan that shows the current site conditions so we know what's been done since then. And then finally, we need the proposed site conditions that after all this is done, what they want the site to look like when everything's finished. Because we need to compare all of these things to make sure that we do we're not changing the flood storage capacity of the bordering land subject to flooding. And there are a lot of regulations, but we need all three of those plans. So we can't get the current as-built of what the current site conditions are if there are 12 by 30 feet of construction material that's like obstructing site elevations. So that was why, and then in addition to that, this review process may take several months, and this wood is just kind of out unsheltered. You know, I don't want there to be damage to that material either. But in any case, that was one. Number five was all disturbed areas within the site shall be seeded and stabilized, permanently stabilized. Because this review process, we haven't even begun the public hearing for the notice of intent. And as we've seen with these other projects that are currently out for review, these can take several months to get through the peer review process. I don't want all of that just bare soil just kind of out there blown around, with the rain and water and everything. So I'd like to see that just throw some grass seed out there, get some growth there, so it's not, actively eroding while we do the review. Number six, no additional work at 31 Otis Street is permitted until an order of conditions is issued by the commission, which is just basic. And then finally, seven, and this is what we're doing tonight, you or a legal representative must attend the May 21 meeting of the Conservation Commission to kind of review the order to make sure everyone's on the same page, and that we have a path forward. So those are the conditions that I had required in the order. If the commission wants to modify that or add things, you can do that while we ratify. And I'm finished for now.
Thank you, Agent Holden. So it sounds like to continue to move forward, commissioners, it's time for us to kind of review and see if anything we want to modify to the enforcement order before it gets ratified. Or if you have also any other questions to our applicants and owner of the site.
Madam Chair, this is just a lot to absorb in from what Kyle just went through, so I'm trying to talk this through my head here. Kyle, can I ask you a question? I mean, everything you just stated, I mean, the biggest part is the grading, right? We need to know prior.
Yeah, and I think Nate's got that plan, and that was part of the initial notice of intent submission. Basically, Farland submitted a single site plan that had the pre-demolition site elevations, and then also the proposed.
Yeah.
Right. But at that point, when I went out to do that initial review, there was a hole in the ground, so we didn't have we had the pre, we didn't have current, and we had proposed. So Nate has that pre that's already done. What we need now is a current and accurate current site conditions. And then obviously the proposed is what they're hoping to do with the site. So Nate's working on getting all three of those in separate plans, not on the same, sheet. So they're easy to read.
Yeah, if I may just further that what you were just talking about, and typically the way we put together those site plan designs is we have the existing conditions of the site and whatever's to be removed or relocated, demolished, etc., is kind of in the background of our plans in a lighter grayscale sort of color. And what we're proposing is in a darker, more sort of prominent color on the plan. But Kyle had just mentioned if we can separate those two plans entirely, just so it could be much easier to see what we're looking at, just how detailed and how many resource areas the site kind of entails. And then furthermore from that, since our original survey at the end of 2024, the site had changed with there now being that vacant hole from the demolition of the prior building and whatever grading or dirt piles may have been around, basically an updated existing condition survey with all the new topography just to kind of, so we're not trying to hit a moving target, so to speak. So we know exactly what's there currently and it's stabilized so we can go ahead with what we're proposing.
Yeah.
Right. And Nate, generally, that is pretty common, right? And I'm sure the commission has seen this where you have, the existing is in the gray, light gray, and then the proposed is on top. And that's fine sometimes, but in this case, because we have the pre-existing was before fire, and now we have current condition of a half completed basement, and then also what the proposed is, there's just a lot of different things happening there. So I think just to facilitate the review, splitting those out into separate plans makes a lot of sense for this project.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I remember you mentioning one of the main things you were concerned about is we kind of took the edge of brook from our survey, along with what the assessor's map showed for the bank area that we offset from for the riverfront buffer. And you had just mentioned if we could either get a wetland scientist out on the site to flag the site at the rear portion if there was any BBW back there, or if we could at least get a wetland delineation memo from a wetland scientist kind of stating that that edge of bank is what we used and that is the correct thing to be used for this site. And since then, we have had that done, and I believe there was even a couple flags added to the site at the very rear, along with demarking the edge of that bank as the riverfront buffer area. So we were actively working on the revisions that were requested for the initial submittal.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And I actually spoke to someone from ECR that was out doing that work, a
Yep.
week and a half ago or so. So that's
Mhm.
great. So, so I know that Farland has been working on kind of addressing all these other comments, but then we also have the enforcement order here. So
Yep.
before we can actually open that new public hearing for the notice of intent, we need to have all of the things in the enforcement order kind of addressed. And this is kind of just how this is recommended from the state. That said, there are a couple things that will need to be done here with the enforcement order, as it's proposed now, before it's ratified, that will need to be addressed before we actually are able to open that public hearing after Farland Corp gets all of these other comments kind of addressed as part of the application process.
Okay. Commissioner Talbot, you have your hand raised?
I have another question. I mean, so I'm assuming Mr. Gomez is the contractor, right?
Correct.
So we have all work stopped, but on the flip side, Kyle, where we will allow them to put the correct erosion control down, right? We'll allow them to put the grass seed down to help this.
Yeah.
And this will help progress the project for them as well.
Well, yeah, if the commission chooses to leave those requirements in, those will have to be met before we can open the public hearing for the notice of intent. So if you don't think, if the commission decides that they don't care if the site's stabilized, we can strike that from the order before we ratify it. So that's kind of what we're looking at now from the commission. We need to look at this. If there are anything that you think should be added, great, we'll add it. If there are anything that you think shouldn't be included here, we can strike that and then ratify the order. So that way, again, there's not a moving target. The developer knows what they need to do in order to kind of resolve the enforcement order. Basically, the enforcement order is requiring that they get an order of conditions before they do any additional work. They're in that process now with that notice of intent filing. But again, I want because the site's been disturbed and it's the close proximity of the resource area, I'd like these things to be addressed before we even move forward with the review. Because again, the notice of intent review process is not a speedy process. So this can take several months depending on what the initial plan set looks like and things like that. So I don't want to leave the site as it is for 4 months. And again, that's ultimately up to the commission what you want to include in this enforcement order. But those are my recommendations. So I can pull that order up so we can actually see all the different items, and then I think the commission should weigh in on if they like it as is or if there are any modifications that need to be made, and then we can move forward with the ratification. Yeah. Okay. I'll share my screen as that section of the enforcement order highlighted. So again, there are these 7 different points. The point number 1, I don't think that's really negotiable. That's kind of just I do think that the installation of more robust erosion controls is important. This is the erosion controls that we are requiring here required for the construction as it's ongoing. So I think getting that done now isn't really any more of a burden on the applicant than anything else. So I think that's also fine. But again, up to the commission. All excess fill, that's kind of already been addressed. They've used that fill and backfilled around the foundation. I required that all construction material be removed. There's quite a bit. I can show some photos, but again, that's A, to protect that material so it's not sitting out in the weather for 4 months, and then B, I'm not positive that we can get an accurate current site condition with all those things staged there. And then 5, all disturbed areas shall be seeded. Again, it's just you saw how they've gone and basically regraded the entire thing. It's just all exposed soils. I'd like that to be stabilized again because this process for review before they are permitted to go in there and do additional work could take several months. And just leaving that as is not a great idea in my opinion. And then, yeah, requiring an order of conditions before they continue with the development. I think that's pretty, yeah, we can't really budge on that. So it's really just looking at conditions 2 through 5 for the commission. And if you want to modify, remove, or add anything kind of in and around those.
All right. I guess very quickly, Mr. Gomez, I see you are unmuted. Do you have any last minute things before the commission goes through and make sure everything we want is included and ratifies the enforcement order?
You want to unmute it? You're right here.
Or if you didn't, okay. All right. Nope. You've unmuted
So
again.
Kyle said that the 31 orders has been disturbed. Yes, it's been disturbed. There's been 2 fires there.
Well, yes, that part's been disturbed, but then
And
to
the
continue to do
driveway
work,
and
there was further
the driveway
disturbance.
was basically torn apart when we had the emergency permit to demo. Why? Because we bring the excavation guy have to bring the big machine in, and of course it's
Yeah.
gonna get damaged. There's no way to save it.
Yeah, so there is that disturbance which the emergency order took care of, but the problem is there's been further disturbance, especially with the now starting the installation of the basement, which hadn't been approved by the Conservation Commission. So that's
Plus, I don't understand why the building department says one thing, then we come to Kyle says another thing. I mean, we want to build a house for the customer.
we understand that, and for that site, we have to have both the building permit and the order of
Yes,
conditions
but
from
I
us.
will talk to the building department, because if the building department gives me a permit to go and do the foundation, as a builder and for my customer, I'm gonna go and do the foundation. If the building department gives me a permit to do the framing, as a builder, I'm gonna go and do the house, build the house for my customer. Why?
I
Because
understand that, and unfortunately, it seems just for some reason the building department kind of dropped the ball on that one because usually we have to make sure that both of those things are being communicated. So unfortunately, though, we do still have this part of our job that doesn't, stop us from. It doesn't like come into. It doesn't exempt you from it. So now, because this has happened, we're gonna do our job and to continue moving as fast as we can. We're going to get this enforcement order so these
yes,
actions can
but
be taken, and then that
there's
way
been a
we
lot of
can continue on.
miscommunication from the building department and the conservation, Kyle.
Yeah, it's communication.
Then last time I saw Kyle there, he was talking nice to the foundation guy. Then he come out and start screaming at me. Here's my business card. You need my business card. I don't need your business card. I can find your number online.
All right. But it seems like you were in talks with Carl before, so I think we should continue, commissioners, to go through the requirements of the enforcement order and then vote to ratify it or not.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I make a couple of comments? So a couple of things. I don't have access to the building demolition permit now, but that was specifically worded so it was only for the removal of the structure. Didn't say anything about any site clearing or removal of the drive. And then yeah, so I guess that's the first point. And then I also just want to remind Mr. Gomez and the commission that I did have a conversation with him before he received the building permit and explained to him the process and the requirements to get the order of conditions, and that an order of conditions was required to do any work on the site. So, if he chose to ignore that conversation, that's his prerogative. But in any case, there has been a violation, and that we are addressing now.
All right. So I think it's time, commissioners. Is there anything else you want to add? Personally, I would not remove
I have
We want to know
disable.
what is the proof that you're talking about right now? Can you prove that for us that you really talk to the?
I feel like that's something maybe that can be figured out in
Can you
email
prove
and
that
past, but
to the city hall about this, because it sounds like he's just talking about from nowhere. And I don't get it. There's a big miscommunication between Cayo and the city hall. If he did have a communication with the city hall, can he prove that with us that he really talked to the city hall about this. And so we know that it's not Cayo's fault or the city hall that we did start this construction work at 31 Otis. Because sounds like you just saying stuff that it makes no sense for us because you don't have any, if you do have any proof, it will make sense for us. But as of right now, we don't have any proof from you. Everything that you just said in the whole conversation that we have in the last 30, 40 minutes. There's any proof that you have, Caio, for that you really talked to the building department? And so we don't have to, I mean, have another conversation with the building department tomorrow?
You're asking if I have proof of the
Are
discussion?
you really that you have the conversation to the building department about that we can start this construction?
Yeah, you know, I did inform the building department that a
Where
notice.
is the proof?
If you allow me to,
Kyle, I just have a thing on the permit. It says here, no excavation inside 20 feet of riverfront area. Rebuild a three-family from demo, only the foundation due to the fact that it's under the 25 feet from the river area. That's why the permit was issued just for the foundation, because there's no excavation within the 25 feet from the river area.
So there are several things that I'd like to address there. So firstly, the building department issuing the building permit is kind of a separate issue than what we're dealing with here. If you have a problem with the way that the city has managed this, you need to talk to the building department, the people that have issued that permit, the city, you know, solicitor's office.
Caio, listen, the
Listen,
problem is not
Excuse me, please allow me to finish here as okay, so that's one thing. We're talking tonight about a violation that has occurred, period. There is documentation. If you need to find that through the building department and through the law department, that's totally fine. That said, you did receive a building permit. That's fine. We're not disputing that. What I'm saying is you also need this order of conditions. What we're looking at now is ratifying that order. If you want to talk to, you know, the building department, I'd be happy to meet with you and the building department and the law department, and they can sort this out. But that's going to be, you know, that's going to be up to you to organize that. So I recommend that you reach out to the building department tomorrow, the city solicitor's office, and organize that meeting. I'm not concerned about the work that I've done as far as being legal and above board. So, you know, if you want to pursue that, that's going to be your prerogative. For what we're doing tonight, we're looking at this enforcement order, and this needs to be ratified by the commission. So that said, does the commission have any comments, concerns, questions about the enforcement order before we vote to ratify? Because there's clearly been a violation. There's work without an order of conditions. So that's, I mean, that's black and white here. So that's, you know, there's no disputing that a violation has occurred.
Commissioners, is there anything you want to add to the enforcement order?
Nothing from me.
Commissioner Curtis, Commissioner Talbot, does that look
Nope,
good to you?
nothing more to add on that.
I have nothing more to add.
So if the enforcement order as is looks good, then that means I entertain a motion to ratify the enforcement order with the requirements listed by Agent Holden.
Can we remove number 3, Kyle, since it's already been done?
Agent Holden is removal of number 3, something like that.
Yeah, sorry, my internet kind of cut out. We could remove that. If we do, I'll have to like reissue the enforcement order. I don't think it's harmful to leave it in because that condition's kind of already been met because they have already gone in and removed that fill and added it around the basement. So if you would like, I can. But again, that was due to the fact that the day that I went out there and spoke to everyone involved, took those site photos, was not the day that I actually issued the enforcement order. That was 2 days later. So we can strike that. I don't think there's any harm leaving that in because that condition's kind of already been met. But it's up to the commission.
I would say it's okay to leave because it would be the same with number 7 too, since they're in attendance right now and that condition has been met.
Won't it delay the process if you have to reissue another order? Since they've already met those two, they can leave it as is and then work on the other ones and move this along quicker.
Yeah, I don't know that it's necessary, but it won't take any longer to issue a new. I mean, like I'll just send out another copy, but send another copy to the state. I think it's cleaner just to leave it as it is. If there aren't any substantive changes that the commission wants to add, I would just recommend you leave it as it is, and ratify it. But again, subject to the commission's approval.
Yeah. So if there's nothing, sorry, there's nothing that you want to add that's substantive enough for a change, then I think entertain a motion to ratify the enforcement order.
Motion to ratify the enforcement order for 31 Otis Street.
You want to second that?
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, aye.
Map I.
Aye.
Green eye. Motion passes. So
All right, and then I guess a final comment to the applicant. Listen, I understand this is a difficult position that you find yourself in, and I'm willing to have that conversation with you about like what broke down in the process. But again, we're gonna have to loop in the legal department and the building department. So that is up to you to organize that. All right.
Maybe you want to explain that to the owner. She's here present.
I just said it. So yes, if you've got a concern there, then feel free to reach out to the law department and the building department and myself, and we can organize a meeting and kind of talk through what the breakdown was.
So nothing to say to the owner?
No, I don't have anything else to say. Thank you.
thank you for your attendance, both Mr. Gomez, owner, Mr. De Silva. Hopefully everything can get worked out. We can continue our work so we can eventually hear that NOI and get things
I
started.
just have one to keep something in consideration, Kyle. We do want to do everything legalized. That's the reason why we stopped the first permit. We were actually issue a permit first to rebuild the 3-family, and we noticed your comment when the permit was already approved, and we decided to stop and look at you for you to see what you needed it. So we also want you to understand our position. It's frustrating. I understand all paperwork and everything submitted. I know you're trying to do your part. We're trying to do our part. But when the first permit was issued by the building department, I want you guys to keep in consideration that seeing your comment, we stopped the process of rebuilding the multifamily and contact Kyle, see what requirements were needed to proceed with the paperwork. So we are not trying to step on your job or the law. We actually, we stopped the work and we were like, hey, there's a comment here. Let's contact him, see what he needs. So it's not like we want to step over the law. That's why we stopped the first permit. Then after that, we called the department. We're like, hey, you gave us an permit to rebuild the house, but we can't. So they revoked that permit, and then they issue a different one when we provided paperwork that needed to be done, but they only provided for the foundation to be rebuilt. I understand we also needed the conservation one, but putting the building codes and everything, they were like, no, you guys can go ahead and do the foundation. That's why we did it. If they would have told it, no, you need to wait for Kyle to approve it, we would have not done it.
There was a miscommunication between them, both of them. So it's their fault.
So again, if you have a concern about that, you need to contact the city solicitor's office and loop in the building department, because I didn't issue that building permit. So okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that is all the filing. So then I entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, aye.
Map I.
Albert, aye.
Green eye. Motion has been made and passed. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.